Hey everyone, and welcome back. We're doing a deep dive today on Hasan Minhaj.
Oh, yeah.
He's a comedian, but he's also kind of known for taking on, these pretty serious topics like hot button issues and things like that.
Right.
So we're going to be looking into, is he truly, like a voice for change,
Yeah.
or is he maybe just really good at playing that part? Grifter or gifted, as we like to say.
Exactly. And it's a question that comes up a lot these days, especially with people who kind of straddle that line between entertainment and, social commentary.
Right.
And Hassan Minhaj is a great example. I mean, he's won awards, he's critically acclaimed, but then there's also like a lot of controversy around him too.
Yeah, for sure. And so we're looking at a bunch of different sources today to get to the bottom of this articles. We've got his Wikipedia pages for Homecoming King, which is his stand-up special.
Right.
And then also Patriot Act, his Netflix show, and even some reports on these controversies that have popped up around him.
Yeah.
There's a lot to unpack here.
Yeah, there is. And one of the things that we found right off the bat that I thought was really interesting is that Minhaj himself has admitted to like changing timelines and embellishing stories in his stand-up.
Oh, wow.
He says, it's to get to the emotional truth of this story. But is that really enough? Like, when does factual accuracy kind of take a backseat to the comedy, especially when it's when it's dealing with some of these important social issues?
Yeah, I mean that's a big question, right?
Yeah.
So let's rewind a bit.
'Kay.
Let's go back to Homecoming King, which is really what put Minhaj on the map.
Right.
His stand-up special, and it really dives into his own personal experiences
Yeah.
as an Indian American Muslim.
Right.
Dealing with racism, bullying, these cultural clashes, all with this blend of humor and vulnerability.
Yeah, I mean, Homecoming King definitely showed everyone that he's got this real talent for taking these personal stories and weaving them into social commentary, and it really resonated with people.
Yeah.
It resonated with audiences and critics alike. He even won a Peabody for it.
Wow.
But then there's this shadow that kind of hangs over it,
Oh.
because later on, the New Yorker reported that some of the stories in Homecoming King, specifically one about his prom and, racial bias at his prom, weren't actually entirely accurate.
So there were already some signs, even kind of early on,
Yeah.
that maybe he was blurring that line between reality and performance.
Right.
But let's move on to Patriot Act.
Okay.
His Netflix show that really put him in the spotlight,
Right.
and really focused on these complex and politically charged topics.
Patriot Act was really ambitious. It covered, everything. I mean, from affirmative action to Saudi Arabia to fast fashion and internet access. It ran the gamut.
Wow.
And he won more awards for Patriot Act, Emmys, another Peabody. I mean, really, solidified his image as a credible voice on these issues.
Yeah, I mean, and you just look at some of the episode titles like The Ugly Truth of Fast Fashion or Why Your Internet Sucks.
Yeah.
Like, you get a sense of his style, right?
Right.
He's not afraid to take on these these big systems, these powerful interests.
No, he doesn't shy away from it.
But this is also where things start to get a little more controversial.
Yeah, for sure. And one episode in particular, the Saudi Arabia episode, caused a pretty big stir.
Well, yeah.
It was actually removed from Netflix in Saudi Arabia
Really?
after the government complained about the content.
Wow.
So here he is, seemingly fearless in his critiques, but also, facing these real world consequences for what he's saying.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty intense.
Yeah.
Okay, so we got this comedian winning awards, tackling these big issues, even making governments kind of nervous. But this is where that grifter or gifted question really comes in, I think. But the New Yorker,
Oh.
they did this big expose, right?
Right.
And they found that Minhaj had. Well, they said he had a habit of kind of stretching the truth. And it wasn't just in a Homecoming King. They found examples across his stand-up routines.
Yeah, they pointed to a few specific examples. One was this meeting with the Saudi embassy that Minhaj talked about that apparently never actually happened.
Cool.
And then there was this anecdote about his daughter and like a white powder scare.
Yeah.
That they felt was embellished, for dramatic effect.
Yeah.
And it's not, I mean, these weren't just like little details.
Right.
These were pretty key parts of his routines
Yeah.
that he used to, build tension and to really drive home his points.
Right, right.
Right.
So how did Minhaj respond to these accusations?
Well, he did admit to some fabrication,
Mm.
but he defended it by saying that it was serving the emotional truth,
Okay.
and that it was part of the art form of stand-up. It was like, hey, I'm a comedian, not a journalist.
Right, right. But that's where things get kind of blurry, right?
Yeah.
I mean, he's not just, telling jokes about dating or awkward family dinners or whatever.
Right.
He was talking about racial discrimination and political corruption.
Right. He's taking on these really serious, social and political issues.
Yeah.
And he's presenting himself as like, an authority,
Right.
trying to really influence public opinion. So, how much fabrication is okay when you're dealing with that kind of stuff.
That's a tough one. I
Right.
mean, on the one hand, comedians have always exaggerated.
Yeah.
They've lied even,
Yeah.
to get laughs. It's part of what they do. But when you're dealing with these issues, like I said, racism, corruption, the impact of fast fashion. I mean, the stakes they're pretty high.
Yeah.
People might actually believe these stories.
Right.
Especially because they're told with so much conviction and humor.
Right. And that brings us to this bigger conversation about truthiness.
Truthiness.
Yeah, it's this term that Stephen Colbert actually coined.
Oh, okay.
Who also, was known for blending comedy and social commentary.
Yeah.
But truthiness is this idea that you believe something because it feels true.
Mm.
Even if, even if the evidence isn't really there.
Yeah. Yeah, like it feels right in your gut.
Right, exactly. It's about prioritizing, gut feelings and emotion over facts and critical thinking.
And it's kind of wild how relevant that term is, today
Yeah.
with all the misinformation out there.
Oh, yeah.
And just this, this constant barrage of competing narratives and everything.
Right, and it's worth noting here that Minhaj was actually, rumored to be in the running to host The Daily Show.
Oh, wow.
Which, is a program that has that's increasingly blurred those lines between, comedy and news.
Right.
So it makes you wonder, would he have brought that same emotional truth approach to a show that's known for, satire, but also for holding powerful people accountable?
Yeah, it's a question we can't really answer, I guess.
Right.
But there's another layer to this whole, grifter or gifted debate that we got to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the allegations of a toxic work environment at Patriot Act.
Right. Yeah. Multiple former employees, a lot of them women of color, have come forward.
Yeah.
And said that they experienced, mistreatment and gaslighting and just kind of a hostile work environment.
Wow.
Which, really clashes with this this progressive image that the show was putting out there.
Right, right. So now we're dealing with not just the questions about truth and fabrication in his comedy,
Yeah.
but also these allegations of unethical behavior behind the scenes.
Right.
So it makes you wonder, like, is there a pattern here?
Yeah.
Is this someone who's willing to kind of cut corners, prioritize his own narrative,
Yeah.
even if it means that other people get hurt?
Right. It's definitely something to think about. And
Yeah.
it makes that grifter or gifted question, even more complicated.
Right, because now we're asking ourselves, like, can we even separate the art from the artist?
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know? Or should we? If we find out that someone we admire has been less than truthful or has, maybe harmed other people, does that mean their work is no good anymore?
Yeah, it's a tough question.
Yeah, it's tough. Like, you see Minhaj, he's shedding light on important things. He's
Yeah.
making people laugh and, winning awards.
Mhm.
But then there's this, this other side,
Yeah.
like the fabrications, the allegations of hypocrisy. So where do we land? Like, can you even separate the message from the messenger, or does knowing all this, like, ruin it? Does it taint the whole thing?
I think that's something that a lot of people are dealing with these days,
Right.
not just with Minhaj, but with so many public figures. Like we
Yeah.
have this idea that the people we admire, especially the ones who are, speaking truth to power,
Yeah.
that they should be like perfect. But then
Yeah.
what happens when they're not?
Right.
What happens when they don't live up to that?
Right. And it's even more complicated with Minhaj, right?
Yeah.
Because his whole career is built on this blend of, personal storytelling and social commentary. Like he's asking us to trust him, to believe his experiences,
Yeah.
to be moved by his message. But if that trust is broken, even a little bit,
Right.
it can really have an impact.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's where this whole grifter or gifted thing comes in.
Right.
Are we looking at like a visionary, right? Who's using humor and storytelling to make a difference,
Yeah.
even if he, maybe bends the truth sometimes.
Right.
Or is he more about, building his own brand, his platform, even if it means like, being unethical? It's not an easy question.
No.
And honestly, that's part of what makes doing these deep dives so interesting.
Yeah.
We're not trying to give you a verdict on Hasan Minhaj. It's about giving you the information, giving you different perspectives,
Right.
so you can decide for yourself.
Exactly. So it's up to you to decide what you value,
Right.
what you think is acceptable,
Yeah.
and how you want to engage with, art and artists.
Yeah. I mean, we live in a world where the lines between entertainment and information and activism, they're
Yeah.
so blurry now.
Yeah.
It's more important than ever to really be discerning,
Right.
to ask questions,
Yeah.
and to really think critically about the stuff that we're taking in.
So as you keep thinking about Hasan Minhaj, his work, all these controversies, just keep those questions in mind.
Yeah.
Challenge your own assumptions.
Yeah.
Examine your own biases, and don't be afraid to go deeper.
Right.
That's what makes you, our listeners, such a great, thoughtful, and engaged audience.
That's what we love about this show.
Yeah.
It's not about giving you the easy answers. It's about starting conversations, getting people thinking,
Right.
helping you, figure out how to navigate this crazy world.
So keep questioning, keep exploring, and keep diving deep.
Until next time.
We'll see you then.